All right, so in this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to master Shopify's Horizons theme. Now, one thing I want to note is this is a conversation. I'm going to be monitoring the comments that are posted at the bottom of this video to help you guys walk through it. A little bit of context around what we're going to be going over here. We're going to be going over the basics. So if you've never been in Shopify before, if you're wondering where a lot of these buttons sit, that is what I'm going to be going over on how to use it. I'm not going to go into any content stuff or any strategies on like what you should build. If you want something like that, I highly recommend you go to my community, expertbymonday.com/community, where you can get all the help that you need. So without further ado, let's jump over to my screen and walk through Shopify Horizons. All right, so when you get into Shopify, it's going to drop you on the default page. Now, if you are a new user to Shopify, this is someone who has signed up after August 1st, 2025, you are going to have Horizons themes installed for you by default. So Shopify is now installing Horizons theme as the base theme rather than the Dawn theme. If you are before August 6th and you want to get to know Horizons, maybe you started up your store a few months ago, never got around to it, and need to know how to install it, I'm going to walk you through that now. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to search, and then you want to go to sales channels. Okay. Once it takes you to sales channels, you want to go to online store. I'll zoom in here so you can see what I'm looking at. Online store. All right, so online store is where the bulk of your changes are going to be made. This is where you manipulate your website, create your templates, connect your data sources. All of the stuff that are responsible for the technical side of Shopify is done through online store. Now, one thing that I like to do is if it's not pinned, you want to click on the triple dots and hit pin to your site. So I'm going to leave mine unpinned for the moment. So if you have come into your site and you see this little pin icon here, you just want to click on this because this is going to pin it to your navigation. You're going to use online store so much when you're building out your site. It's just handy to have it there and not have Shopify automatically hide it. All right, so now we have, we need to go and install Shopify Horizon. So the way we're going to go and do that, if we scroll down to the bottom, we're going to see popular themes, and we're going to want to go to the theme store. Now, it is possible, Shopify is pushing Horizons very hard. There might be a banner there that says install Shopify Horizons theme, which is great. You can click on that and follow through that wizard. If you don't have that, click on Visit Theme Store, and it's going to take you to the theme store. So we can click on free because Horizons is a free theme, and then we're going to go up the top and we're going to type in Horizons, okay? And it's going to bring up the Horizons theme. Now, we can go and add a new copy to our store, or we can say install if it's not there already. Now, Horizons comes with a number of different styles, which we're going to go through when we go and edit it. All right, once we've added this new copy to our store, it's going to go through a progress bar, add it to our store, redirect us to our dashboard, and then we're going to have a new theme that shows up underneath our theme library. Now, it will always put it in as a inactive theme. Anytime Shopify is adding a theme to your site, it's always going to put it into the theme library. It's never going to put it live. They want you to go and hit the button that says, okay, I'm ready to publish this thing, okay? So we have our new Horizon theme has been finished adding to our site. We can see when it was added just now, and we have our ability to go in and change it. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to go into customize. All right, customize. This is where all the tools sit. Okay, this is where you have your left bar, where you make all your changes to your sections and your blocks. You have your top bar, which helps you navigate between markets and pages. Across the top, we have our sidekick, which is where it allows you to ask questions to Shopify. It's the AI that you would use to interact with the system. Then you have your deactivate and reactivate inspector. So if you have it activated, you can see these different tool helpers come up, which allow you to add sections, allow you to modify menus, click through to different things. If you want to browse your website just like it's just a normal website, you can turn off this inspector, and then all of those elements will just become regular elements on the site. Now, when building the site, I like to have the inspector installed. It makes it easier for me to find the components that I'm looking for, and it also highlights on the left-hand side which element that I'm currently working on. It can be a little bit disorienting when you start working on a bunch of elements inside of Shopify, and it's nice to have those tooltips. You then have your mobile, desktop, and full screen options. Full screen gets rid of your tools. So if you're on here and you're like, where did my tools go? You want to switch back over to a desktop view so that you can see your tools. Now, one thing you're not going to be able to see in my demo is if you are on a wider screen, you're on a bigger screen, some of these options that are showing up on the left-hand side here and replacing on the left might float over to the right-hand side. So they might be over there. Keep in mind, they are exactly the same options. It's just being moved over to the right side. And in my little setup here with me down in the corner, those ones over there, it's just a smaller screen. All right, so that is the top place. You and then have your save button, which if it's ever highlighted and you're not seeing it update on the screen, you want to hit that save button. It will reload and show you your items. Most items inside of Shopify will adjust live without you having to hit the save button. But remember, when you hit the save button, those changes are going to be live on the theme. So if you're working in the live theme, those changes are going to be immediately available on your site. And this is why we always recommend you duplicate your theme, work in a staging theme, and then make your changes in there. And then when it's good to go, that's when you publish it to the live web. Next, you have your homepage items. So this is a quick jump to all of the places inside of Shopify. So you have your product pages, which if you click on it, it'll take you to your templates there. You have your collections, your collection lists. You have your gift cards, your cart, your checkout, and customer account, your pages, blogs, blog posts, search, passwords, and 404 pages. Now, one of the things that's great about the theme customizer is if you're browsing through your site, so say I click on this shop all button and it activates and it takes me to a collection, you can see that the item across the top has already switched over to a default collection. So you can actually just browse through to your website to find the piece that you want to modify without really having to know which template it is under. All right, so that is the top bar. Now let's start going through the left bar. So if we zoom in here, let's see if I can zoom in here. Yeah, okay. On the left-hand side, we have our exit. That's going to take us back out. We have our triple dots, which has got a couple of options in here. We've got our edit code. I'm not going to go over the code editor in this video. The code editor is for anybody who wants to do more advanced stuff. They want to go and be able to change CSS styles directly in the theme rather than using the theme editor. It's for people who want to create their own liquid code, embeds, all of that sort of stuff. That's going to be done through the code editor. Everything that you are basically going to want to do from a visual point of view, you should be able to do through the customizer. Next is edit default theme content. So this is the default theme content that gets installed when you install the app. Probably not something that you're going to need to worry about because we're going to customize everything. Preview will take you to a preview. View documentation will take you to the Shopify documentation. Keyboard shortcuts is how you use your keyboard to navigate around. And then get support will probably direct you to the Shopify experts listing page. All right, then on the left-hand side, we have our sections. So these are the individual sections that break apart a page. Under that, we have our theme settings, and these are general settings that take care of for the whole website. So for example, logos and favicon. So this is the favicon at the top of your website here. It's got your default logo, which is going to show up in the top left-hand corner. You've got your colors, so these are your different color schemes. So inside of Shopify, you can set up a color scheme so that when you're working with an element, all you have to do is select the color scheme, and it will automatically change the colors of the text, change the colors of the buttons, change the colors of all of the elements inside your theme. So it's a good idea to take your branding guide, the document you got from the person who did all the branding, and go and set up a color scheme that matches your branding guide so that you know that you just simply go in and assign that theme. Now, it can be a little bit cumbersome because you have to go in and you have to go and change all of the different options. So you have to go in and you have to set the backgrounds, you got to set the headings, text, links, hover links, all of the different types of items inside of Shopify when it comes to what you want your scheme to look like. However, once you do that foundational work, it makes modifying your site much easier, and especially if you're handing this off to somebody who's going to be working on your behalf. It's easier to just say, hit scheme number 8, and that will work. Now, if you go into scheme number 8, I think, yeah, it's just numbered schemes. All right, next we can go into typography. This is all of the text inside of your theme. So what your body text is gonna look like, your subheadings, your headings, your accents, that sort of stuff, your paragraph texts, all of the different breakdowns of each individual one. Then we're going to have page layout. So how you want to lay out your pages. Do you want them a normal width? Do you want them a narrow width? Or do you want them a wide width? These are theme specific options. So if you're using something other than Horizons, there are going to be different options in there. Animations, these are some of the animations that come in with Horizons. Page transitions is a nice one if you have slow loading pages, because there's a difference between perceived load time and actual load time. Page transition and animations can help with perceived load time. So if you are trying to, get your page to load faster and cut down on your bounce rate, you can add these transitions in there so people know that something is going on. I want to take a quick pause here. I need to highlight something that used to drive me crazy: customer support. Here's the reality. You spend so much time designing your site, running ads, building traffic. But if your customer asks you a simple question, like, do you ship here? Or when will my order arrive? And you don't have the answer fast enough, they're gonna bounce. They leave. And you don't just lose money. I've been there myself. Emails, live chat, Instagram DMs, Facebook comments. It's a flood of customer questions coming at you from every direction. And unless you have a full-time team working in shifts, it's impossible to keep up. That's exactly why I started using Tidio. If you haven't heard of it, Tidio is an AI-powered customer support tool designed specifically for e-commerce businesses. They have a chatbot called Lyro that basically acts like a full-time support agent. It replies instantly, 24/7, to your customers' most common questions, and it does it without you needing to hire any more staff. So instead of checking your phone at midnight, answering someone's question about shipping, Lyro takes care of it for you. Let me do a quick demo and show you how it works. So you land on the site. In the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little chat icon. It says chat with us. I hit chat with us, and I go, when does my order ship? Once I hit that button, it's going to ask me for my email address. This is so that they can follow up with that person by email after they're finished. I add in my email address, and if I want to sign up for the newsletter, I can do that. Once I hit send, Lyro is going to start answering the query. It's going to come back, and it's going to say, we process and dispatch orders within 1 to 3 business days. The exact timing can vary depending on your location and shipping methods selected. So Lyro is able to answer the question of the customer immediately. And this isn't just a random app. Over 300,000 businesses already use Tidio. The reason is they stick with it because it's simple. It cuts workloads up by up to 70% and gives customers instant answers. And honestly, if you've ever been frustrated by waiting for hours or days for a reply, you know how big of a deal it is for your buyers. For me personally, it's a massive relief. I don't wake up to 20 unanswered chats anymore. I can focus on running and scaling my business instead of being stuck in the inbox all day. It literally feels like having an extra employee without the cost. Before I wrap this up, here's my take. If you're running an online store, Tidio is a no-brainer. It takes minutes to set up, it's free to get started, and you'll notice right away how much easier it is to make customer support. I've left a link down in the description, which you can go and use, and there's a discount code in there just for you. And you'll see for yourself the difference it will make. And a big thank you to Tidio for sponsoring this video. All right, moving on after animations, we've got our little badges. So our badges are anything that, let me click in the left button here. Little badges that show up on our products, whether they're in the top right or the top left. These are like for sale items, one left, those types of badges that go on product cards. We've got our buttons. You can go through our buttons. You've got your cart items. So this is, how you want your cart to show up, whether you want to open it in a cart drawer or whether you want it to go to a cart specific page. So you have your two types, drawer or page. You have your drawers, so if you want to change what drawers look like, you can change the color scheme of those. You've got your icons, what the thickness of the icons that you want. Do you want thin ones? Do you want heavy ones? Or do you want the default ones? You've got your field options, like how do you want your input fields to look like. You've got your popovers. So these are anything that comes over your screen that you want to adjust. Maybe you want to change the background or the color scheme of them, maybe add a drop shadow or borders, that sort of thing. Then you have your pricing. So this is how you want to display your pricing and where they show your currency codes. So when someone changes the market that they're in, say they went from Canada to the US, you want to change from CA in the dollar amount to US dollars, so your customers are informed in what currency they're shopping in. We have our product cards, so these are the ones that go on the collection pages, which have our titles and our images and that sort of thing. We can set the color scheme and the media for that. We have our search, so this is the search bar that comes across the top. We can go and modify that. We have our swatches, so if we want to change out the types of swatches that we use for the different color variations, we can go and make those modifications here. We have our variant picker, so this was the drop down where you're going to be picking your different sizes, so maybe it's small, medium, large, that type of thing. You can modify that. And then finally, this is custom CSS, and custom CSS is CSS styles that applies to the entire store. So in Shopify, you can apply CSS styles to your whole store, so it's going to change the entire thing. So say you wanted to put a border around your whole website, right? I can go in and I can go star, or I can go body, and I can go border, 20 pixels, solid line. I think that's solid black. I can go and do that, and it's going to put this black border all around my website, and it's going to show up on every single page, okay? That's where you go and change the CSS style for everything. On Shopify, if you are working on a section, you can have section-specific CSS. So this section-specific CSS is only going to apply to the section that you're working on. So the CSS is only, it works on scope. So if you're trying to change the CSS on a section and you're wondering why it's only modifying stuff in that section, this is why. So if you did want to go and change your CSS styles for the entire site, which you probably don't want to do, you can go and do it underneath the custom CSS. Now, one of the bonuses is if you do it in this custom CSS, if this is where you add your custom CSS, when you update your theme, when you go in and download the new one from Shopify and update it, those custom CSSs are going to copy over to the new theme. However, if you go in and you go to the code editor and you change the code in the custom CSS, when that new theme is installed, you're going to lose all that code and you're going to have to copy them over. So this is a way of adding custom CSS that you never have to worry about if you're upgrading the theme. So it's a good thing to keep in mind. Finally, app embeds. So app embeds are where you go and turn on and turn off apps that you've installed in the store. Now, not all apps are embedded apps, but most of them will require you to embed a certain type of JavaScript in order for them to load their functionality. And this is where you can go and turn them on. I have one here, which is an example of the Klaviyo JavaScript, which monitors the click events of people on the site so that you can send emails to them based on what they are doing. It's currently not turned on. I can click on the button and then go and turn on that app embed. When you install a lot of the apps, they're going to ask you to do this, step inside of the onboarding wizard. This is what they're talking about when they say you have to turn on app embeds. All right, that is a complete whirlwind of going through Shopify Horizons theme. I've showed you where all of the pieces are, how to make the changes, how to make the updates. The next thing I want to go through, and we're going to take a little bit of a break here, we're going to go and we're going to work on some of the sections. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of how the sections work. So sections, they are not unique to Horizons. They are across every single theme. But the sections piece is important to understand how you move things around. So let's go back over to my screen. All right, so if we're in sections, on the left-hand side, we have our template, which shows the breakdown of what sections that we have on our site. So if we hover over top of these, sorry, let's do that here. So let's go and make sure that our inspector is turned on. Great. So when we hover over the collection heading, we can see on the left-hand side here, it has highlighted it in gray. Not super easy to see, especially if you have contrast issues, but you can see that it has highlighted it in gray. And then if you go over your next section, this is going to pull up your collections section. This is where all your collections are coming through. Oops, sorry. So this is your collections. this is what is going to happen in here. And then underneath these are individual sections and blocks that you can add. So if I wanted to add a block to my template, so say I wanted to add a, let's say I wanted to add a rich text to the bottom of all my collection pages. So let's go and add, do they have content? Do they have text? Where is a text box here? Let's add a custom section. And in that custom section, we're going to add some text. And in that text, we are going to say, if you have any issues, please call our support line at 555-555-6666. All right, so that's our support line. We want to put that at the bottom of all of our collection pages. We can go into the collection itself. We can say we want it aligned in the center. We can see that there's a lot of padding on this section. It's quite a large section. So if we go to the collection type, the text is not creating the type size. We want to go to the collection section, and then we want to go and change the height to auto. And that is going to shrink it down, give us our section in here with our different phone number. Now, if we want to go and change, so let's save this, and I'm going to show you how this shows up on different pages. So we've gone and added this to our collection template, right? If we go back to our home page and we go down to the bottom, we see we have a collection on the home page, but we are not seeing that section that we created because we're on a different template. But if we go into our catalog, which is what we want, we can see we have a special call out specifically for that collection template. And so this is an interesting thing to understand with inside of Shopify. Each individual page type has a template attached to it. So products is a page type. It has a product template. Collections has a collection type, and it is a collection is a template type, and it has a template to it. Now you can create multiple templates. So if you want to lay things out in a different way, you can do that, and you can simply go in and create a new template. So say we want this template to be customer service text, okay? And we're gonna base it off of the default template. We're gonna hit customer service text. So now we have a customer service text with this line at the bottom. If we go back into collections and we go to the default collection and we delete that collection that we have, we now have a default collection template that has no customer service text at the bottom. We have a customer service text template that has customer service text at the bottom. And then depending on what we want to show up for which collection, we can go assign that in the dashboard. So let me pop over to my site here, and we're gonna go to products, and we're gonna go to collections. Now we only have one collection. We only have the homepage collection. If we're gonna go and add another collection, so these are specialty products, which is most likely gonna be the one that has customer service questions on it. We're gonna go and save that, and then we can go and select our theme template. So one thing I should mention, this is a really important thing to mention, and this is a confusing thing about Shopify, is if you go and you make a change and you add a template inside a staging collection, you are not going to be able to see it in the live theme because it always pulls the available collections from your live theme. So because I've gone in and I've created a Horizon, or I've created a theme template in here, I've gone to collections and I've created a service text template in here. And when I go into my collections over here, and we go into homepage, or we go into whatever one we want, we see we only have one option here. Now, if I go and I publish this theme, so let's go and do that. So I'm going to go publish this theme. What we'll notice will happen is if we go now into collections and we go to our specialty product and we refresh this, we should see our customer service text now show up. So now if we save that and we go and view this product, we can see if you have any issues, please call our customer support line. Now, if we go back to our catalog and we go to, actually, if we go to our home page and we go to our homepage collection, I think we don't have a link to our homepage collection, so we're going to have to go in through the back way and go view. We can see we don't have that text in there. So hopefully this helps you kind of get familiar with where things are inside of Shopify Horizons. If you need a more in-depth tutorial on this, I do have an online course where I go through all the different steps of everything that's available inside of Shopify. It is a Shopify masterclass. It is available in my community at expertmymonday.com/community. You can go in there, you can take that class, and then you can get community support helping you walk through Shopify. A lot of things covered in this video. I hope that this was super helpful, and I hope to see you in the community. See you next time.